Kurt Cobain is most often associated with playing Fender guitars. Most people recall him playing his Jaguar, Stratocasters, or his favorite guitar, the Mustang. But early on and throughout his career, he had a love for Univox Hi-Fliers. Ironically, the first album Nirvana recorded, Bleach, and the last album recorded, In Utero, both contained heavy use of them. The very last session recording, the song You Know You're Right, also features a Univox Hi-Flyer as well. In this video, we will go over Kurt Cobain's famous Hi-Fliers. It will highlight what was going on in the band at the time these guitars came to be and the early history of Nirvana. First, I will cover just a little bit about the history of Hi-Fliers, as they are a bit more obscure and mysterious compared to Fender guitars. Univox Hi-Fliers were made from 1967 until 1977. They are basically a high-quality copy of Mosrite's Ventures and other models. One of the main differences is the top of a Hi-Flyer headstock has two U-shaped cuts, echoing the three-notch M shape of the Mosrite. They were produced by the Japanese manufacturer Matsumoto, which built instruments for many brands, including Epiphone, Aria, Univox, and later Westbury. There were 4 phases of Hi-Fliers. Initially, they were equipped with single-coil P90 style pickups. Phase 1 has distinct rocker switches for the pickups and a large bar-style string tree. Around 1974, Phase 3 models came equipped with 2 humbuckers, which have a very high output and distinct sound. A big change by Phase 4 was the change from the Jaguar style vibrato to a Gibson style bridge and tailpiece. Kurt owned each of the 4 phases at one point or another. The scale length is 24 3/4 inches, like a Gibson Les Paul or Fender Cyclone. It is in between the Jaguar Mustang 24-inch scale and the Strat Telly scale length of 25.5 inches. Kurt's Hi-Fliers were right-handed guitars that were flipped and set up for left-handed playing. Kurt did own an actual Mosrite as well, beginning in late 1990. I will cover that one in part 2. From around 1985 or 1986, Kurt owned a Sunburst Phase 3 Univox Hi-Flyer with a white pickguard, although at times the pickguard could be seen colored red. It was probably built between 1974 and 1977. It contained a rosewood fingerboard. Early on, the front of it was filled with many different stickers and pictures. On the back of the body, at the bottom, it had "Wasp, We Are Scary Posers" written. And he also drew a guitar with "The Monkees" written inside of it and had a Mod Squad picture taped to it. On April 18, 1987, Kurt, Chris Novoselic, and drummer Aaron Burkhart played a show at the Community World Theater in Tacoma, Washington, under the name Skid Row, not to be confused with the 80s hair band with Sebastian Bach and Snake Sable. About halfway between Seattle and Olympia, Tacoma, Washington was a popular place for bands to play within the region. The Sunburst Hi-Flyer was also used on May 1st at the last show at GESCO, Greater Evergreen Students Community Corporation Organization. The guitar may have also been used on May 6th when they recorded live at Chaos FM Radio at Evergreen State College in Olympia. This radio parent served as an early demo tape for the band to book additional gigs. Now some of you are probably saying, hold up, wait a minute, what about that very first gig at a house party? In July of 2015, a 19-year-old named Maggie Pakula came forward on social media with never-before-seen photos of the band playing at a party at her father's house in Raymond, Washington. Her father, Tony Pakula, played with them on a couple of Led Zeppelin covers. Maggie had stated, "I had no idea that those were during Nirvana's first concert. The audio of this show has been circulating for years under the name 17 Nussbaum Road, and it was believed that this show was recorded in March of 1987 and is often recounted to those close to the band as being their first show. In the 2001 biography, Heavier Than Heaven by Charles R. Cross, Chapter 7 is dedicated to this event, which is described in great detail, in which he states it was in early March of 1987. The biography Come As You Are by Michael Azerrad also puts this before the GESCO and Chaos events. However, apparently there is some dispute about this by some in the Nirvana community, who are placing it closer to the summer or after May 1987, based upon the stickers on the Hi-Flyer, Kurt's hair length, and some of the songs being more evolved than the May 6th radio broadcast. It's not really that clear-cut to me. We don't have great shots of the Hi-Flyer to examine. Could some of the people involved be misremembering dates? Sure, it's possible, but if someone was going to make a claim like that, there should be some solid evidence behind it. In the summer of 1987, the band returned to the Community World Theater and played shows on June 12th, June 27th, billed as Pencap Chew, and August 9th, billed under the name Bliss. On January 23rd of 1988, now under the name Ted Ed Fred, Kurt, Chris, and Dale Crover recorded a 10-song demo at Reciprocal Studios in Seattle with producer Jack Endino. That same night, they again performed at the Community World Theater. There is video footage with great audio available for this show. This may be some of the earliest video footage of them performing. The next day, January 24th, 1988, the band performed a music video of sorts in a Radio Shack store for If You Must and Paper Cuts. These songs were just recorded the prior day during the recording session. On March 19th, 1988, the band returned to the Community World Theater in Tacoma, Washington with Dave Foster on drums. This was the first time they were billed as Nirvana. Throughout the summer of 1988, they continued a steady stream of gigs throughout Olympia, Seattle, and Ellensburg, Washington. Kurt's Hi-Flyer would now show a cleaner look, with the stickers removed and with the pickguard now white again. At the October 28th show at Union Station in Seattle, the Hi-Flyer could now be seen with the picture on the front of an art collage that Kurt made with raw meat and his toy monkey Chim Chim, which had a battery rigged up on his back wired to his head. A similar picture which Kurt took can be seen on the rear cover of the Nevermind album. The last time this Sunburst Hi-Flyer guitar was used was right before Halloween on October 30th, 1988. At Dorm K208 at Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. Chad Channing was now behind the kit since joining the band in May 1988. I have not seen any video footage, although there is decent audio circulating. Some say that this was the first time that they played School, a Nirvana staple that they would go on to play many times. It may even be the song that they played the most. At the end of the show, after the song Blue and a feedback show, Kurt smashed his Sunburst Univox Hi-Flyer and the neck, along with the neck pocket of the body, broke right off. This may have been the first time he smashed a guitar beyond repair. The body, along with the neck, missing the headstock, can be seen in all its awesomeness at the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle, Washington. Parts from this guitar, such as the bridge humbucker, control plate, and knobs, were used in a left-handed Fender Mustang or Greco Mustang copy that he owned, which contained a Soundgarden sticker. It was first used at Speedio Tubbs Rhythmic Underground in Bellingham, Washington on November 23, 1988. There is some low-quality footage of this guitar being played on December 21, 1988 at Eagles Hall in Hoquiam, Washington. In January of 1989, it received a vinyl record pickguard. This became Kurt's main guitar he used live up until May of 1989. Although you can't really see it, this was the guitar that Kurt was using on the cover of Bleach. The photo was taken by Tracy Miranda, Kurt's girlfriend, at the Reco Muse Gallery on April 1, 1989. Originally it was red, but Kurt stripped it and sanded it down to a dark brown color. Sadly, there is not a ton of good quality footage or colorized pics of this one. Eventually, it was repainted teal. After May of 1989, it was used occasionally until Kurt smashed it at the Pine Street Theater on February 9th of 1990. It eventually found its way in modern times to the Nirvana exhibit at the Museum of Pop Culture. Nirvana's debut album Bleach was recorded between December 1988 and January 1989 at Reciprocal Studios. Producer Jack Endino has said that only Univox guitars were used on the Bleach album. It's very possible that this natural finish Phase 3 Univox Hi-Flyer with a maple fingerboard was one of them. Although 3 songs, Floyd the Barber, Paper Cuts, and Downer, were taken from the previous session in January of 1988, nearly a whole year earlier. So Dale Crover is actually on those tracks and not Chad Channing. The guitar on those 3 tracks could very well be his first Sunburst Hi-Flyer. In February of 1989, Jason Everman joined the band as a second guitarist. He previously played in the band with Chad Channing, and he also helped pay the recording fees for Bleach, to which the band credited him on the original pressings of the album, despite him not playing a note. On May 26th of 1989, the Natural Finish Phase 3 Univox Hi-Flyer appeared as they played the Lynn Bloom Center at Green River Community College in Auburn, Washington. In June 1989, this Natural Hi-Flyer can be seen in the video of a recording session at Evergreen State College where they recorded a cover of a Kiss song, Do You Love Me, for a Kiss Covers compilation, and also a version of Dive. It was produced by a college student, Greg Babier. Bleach was released on June 15th of 1989. Sometime in June 1989, Kurt added some red paint to the body and headstock to give it a more sunburst look. On June 23rd of 1989, Nirvana played a show at Rhino Records in Los Angeles. Big Cheese from this show was featured on the DVD in the With the Lights Out box set. The band went on to tour the Southwest region, Midwest region, and then a few dates in the Northeast. At this time, Kurt also had a right-handed Sunburst 1973 Fender Mustang, which only lasted 2 shows, for July 8th, 1989 at Club Dreamers in Chicago, and July 9th, 1989 at the Sonic Temple outside of Pittsburgh, where he smashed it. On July 13th, 1989, Nirvana played a show at Maxwell's in Hoboken, New Jersey, and even though it was reportedly a small crowd, Kurt ended up smashing it at the end. This led to Kurt only providing vocals at the next show at the Green Street Station on July 15th outside of Boston. Audio exists for this show if you want to check out Jason Everman's chops. The Natural Hi-Flyer was eventually sold at Julien's Auctions in May of 2016 for $56,250. It had a letter of authenticity from Janet Billig Rich, a record executive who Kurt gave the guitar to after the band stayed at her home after the show. This guitar also ended up in Seattle at the Museum of Pop Culture. Kurt's next guitar was a white Phase 3 Univox Hi-Flyer with a rosewood fingerboard and a white pickguard. It was first used on July 18th of 1989 at the Pyramid Club in New York City. This guitar was a gift from his girlfriend Tracy Miranda. This show is probably best known for a drunk spectator coming up on stage during Floyd the Barber, who tried to sing with the band until they eventually plowed him over. After this show, they canceled the last few dates of the tour and drove back to Washington. Although he didn't know it at the time, this was Jason Everman's last show with the band. In late August through October, the band headed out again on tour, performing dates in the Northwest, Midwest, and even a few in Colorado and Utah. October 23rd of 1989, the band started a European tour with the band Tad, performing multiple dates in England, the Netherlands, and Germany. The White Hi-Flyer was eventually smashed at Ecstasy in Berlin, West Germany on November 11th, 1989. After that, he used a right-handed red Hagstrom II from the 60s that he had been using as well on this European tour until that one was eventually destroyed on November 27th, 1989 in Rome. Thanks for watching. Throw me a like if you enjoy this, and make sure you subscribe, as I will also be making a part 2 on Kurt's Univox Hi-Fliers, and you won't want to miss it.